Welcome in, everyone, to Football Friday, presented by Football Addicts Anonymous. Just me today. Be a relatively short show in that aspect, but a lot of great games going on this weekend. We had some exciting games on Monday night and last night for Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. So let's get it started here. We also had some trades. But we'll start off with last night. We did have a college game that we picked, or there was a college game notable last night. Number 16, Coastal Carolina, rolling over Arkansas State 52-20. I hit twice in this game. Once on the over 45.5 for Coastal and the under 26.5 for Arkansas State. But Grayson McCall had a great night, 365, 4 touchdowns. And his favorite target all night, tight end Isaiah Likely. I mean, what a night. Ridiculous. He went off, 8 receptions. 232 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, in terms of if that would be a fantasy game, that would be quite the game. I'm counting 50, 53, 55 points. 24 for the touchdowns, 23.2 for the yardage and 8. So, yeah, that would be 55.2 points on a fantasy night there. Ridiculous production in this game. But Arkansas State did get a spark with Lane Hatcher coming in after James Blackman ineffective in the first half. He threw 2 touchdowns there. And their running back Lincoln Pear did score once as well. But it was all Chanticleers all night. Red Wolves had not much to go for them starting off. The first touchdown was a 99-yard score by Isaiah Likely, which was ridiculous in itself. But yeah, Bryce Carpenter also ripped off a long touchdown run for the Chants when he got in the game. And yeah, the Coastal rolling, like I said. Shermani Jones over 100 yards and a touchdown off 10 carries. Defensively, I am going with Silas Kelly. 6 tackles, 5 solos, 1.5 sacks, 1.5 tackles loss, and a QB hurry. Coastal covered -20, under 75. Barely. By 3. Monday Night Football, NFL Chargers beat the Raiders to give them their first loss, 28-14. Was at SoFi Stadium in LA. Justin threw 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. It's interesting to note this year, Justin Herbert really has not been using his legs as much. Austin Eckler getting it done on the ground, did that in this one, over 100 yards, touchdown, also scored off 3 receptions and 28 yards. Derek Carr, worst night of the season so far. Was getting beaten, battered all night by the defensive line for LA. Threw an interception. That was relatively bad, but under 200 yards, not much going for Derek Carr in this one. But, yeah. Chargers looked very good. Defensive line against a weak Raiders offensive line, minus Richie Incognito. Alex Leatherwood has struggled mightily this season. He's now moved to right guard instead of right tackle. Brandon Parker slides it out to right tackle to replace him. But yeah, Darren Waller, modest night here. He did score Renfro scored again as well. I'm very happy about him in fantasy right now. Jared Cook got a touchdown, and Donald Parham scored the first touchdown. Was not expecting that. Was disappointed because I had Mike Williams and Darren Waller as first touchdown scorers. So, yeah. Defensively, I know Chris will like Corey Littleton's stats, 9 out of 14 of his tackles being solos. I'm going with Darius Philon, though, for Vegas. 3 tackles, 2 solos, 2 sacks, 2 tackles lost, and 2 quarterback hits. Chargers covered -3, under 52. Last night, Thursday night football, Rams going to 4-1, 26-17 win in Seattle at Lumen Field. Matthew Stafford struggled a little bit. Did not look like his usual self. Had at least 3 high throws that I saw, and just missed there. But what a night for Robert Woods. 12 receptions, 150 yards off 14 targets. Monster production, just didn't score. Would have made his fantasy night even better. 27 points scored there, but could have gotten in the 30s with a touchdown. Russell Wilson got injured in this one. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So that's why his numbers aren't as great. All 3 quarterbacks threw a touchdown and an interception. Geno Smith came in for Russ. All that he did on his first drive was go 6 for 6 and march them 98 yards for a touchdown, which he threw to DK, his second of the night, who DK had a monster night as well, 5 for 98 and 2 touchdowns off 5 targets. Cooper Kupp, relatively lowish night compared to what he had been doing, but still got 7 catches for 92 yards. That's 16.2 fantasy points in PPR leagues, 10 targets there. And Lockett had 10 targets as well. Higbee scoring a touchdown in this one off 2 receptions. Defensively, what a night for Aaron Donald. I mean, still a game wrecker, 7 tackles, 5 solos, a sack, 2 tackles lost, pass deflection, and 3 hits on the quarterback, whether that be Russ or Geno. So, Rams covered -2.5, under 54. Was excited. I had a Rams parlay last night. Rams Rays got the job done in Tampa, in Tampa with the Rays, hoping that the Astros can get it done. Right now in Houston, we hit the Nerfy in the Braves Brewers game I saw on the Twitter feed, so that's great to see. Try to make some money here. All right, under 54 in this one. NFL news. So we do have some NCAA news, actually. 2 major injuries. LSU corner Derek Stingley Jr., he underwent foot surgery. He is out indefinitely right now. So not sure. He hopes to be back before the end of the season to play a few more games with his teammates before he leaves for the NFL, but unsure at this point. And Oregon, they lost their top running back, CJ Verdell. He is done for the year. He has a left leg injury. I have not heard any update about what exactly the injury is, but yeah, big loss for the Ducks, especially coming off a loss at Stanford last weekend. All right, NFL news. We're starting off with some trades. We had 2 this week for the same compensation. The Bears, they traded a 2023 6th-round selection to the Miami Dolphins for wide receiver Jakeem Grant. Super, super good on special teams as a punt returner specifically, but can contribute on offense as well. Jet sweeps and the like, sort of what they used to do when they had Cordell Patterson for a year or 2, however many years he was in Chicago. But I think it's a good move for, low cost for the Bears, trying to add to their receiving core and help their special teams as well. The bigger one, though, the Panthers, they also traded a 2023 6th-round selection to the New England Patriots for cornerback Stefan Gilmore. I absolutely love this trade. I absolutely love this trade. He is going to be out until week 7 at the very earliest. He's dealing with a quad injury and was placed on the PUP list, physically unable to perform, by the Patriots before the season started, and was still on that list when week 1 came around. So out till week 7 at this point. So it's going to be a couple more weeks till we can actually see Gilmore in his home state. And because he went to South Carolina as well and is from the area. So great trade, I thought, by Scott Fitterer. And the trades that Fitterer has done in his time in Carolina so far, 8 trades. He traded away quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, offensive tackle Greg Little, and linebacker Denzel Perriman, getting some capital, and then giving some capital. They traded for quarterback Sam Darnold, corner Stefan Gilmore, corner CJ Henderson, defensive end Darrell Green, and kicker Ryan Santoso. Green and Santoso not as big as the first 3, but Fitterer, like he has said, always in every single trade, and it held true here. So very excited for the Panthers sitting at 3-1. I think they got a good shot. All right, the rest of the NFL news here. Bears head coach Matt Nagy announced rookie quarterback Justin Fields. He will be the starter going forward, regardless of whether Andy Dalton is healthy, contrary to what he had been saying all along this week, that if Andy was healthy, he would be the starter. That is not true. I believe Nagy is now in the trying to save my own boat, which he kind of was already in. But after the first 4 weeks, it's do or die, really. So might as well see what you have. I'm still not a believer yet in Justin Fields, so yeah. The Chiefs, they promoted wide receiver Josh Gordon to the 53-man roster, and he could make his debut this week on Sunday Night Football against the Bills. Would be interesting to see if that is the game that he comes in for. The Chiefs also opened the practice window for linebacker Willie Gay. Would be a big upgrade if they can get him back as early as possible. The Seahawks, they were without tight end Gerald Everett last night, but today they did activate him off of the COVID list. The Patriots, they placed offensive lineman Michael Onwenu and Isaiah Wynn on the COVID list. We'll talk about the rest of the Patriots offensive line a little bit later when we get to ins and outs for the games this weekend. Injuries. Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield, he has been playing with a partially torn labrum in his non-throwing shoulder. So interesting there. Not much, when it comes to throwing. You just really got to, with the only thing with your non-throwing shoulder, you got to extend, pushing that ball, a little bit of I think it's definitely a thing you can play through and then have surgery later in the offseason. The Niners, they placed kicker Robbie Gould on IR with a groin injury in a concurring transaction. They signed kicker Joey Sly, who was just released by the Texans. The Dolphins, wide receiver Will Fuller, he was placed on IR as well with a broken finger, going to be out 3 to 4 weeks, I believe, was the diagnosis. Washington football team, they placed tight end Logan Thomas on IR. We'll hear about the corresponding move made later. The Bucks, they placed corner Carlton Davis on IR. He has a quad injury. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. Seahawks, they placed rookie wide receiver Dwayne Eskridge on IR as well. Bears running back David Montgomery, he is out 4 to 5 weeks with a knee sprain. So I know there was a flurry of waiver claims for Damian Williams over the weekend, or early in the week this week. Saints running back Tony Jones Jr., he's expected to miss 3 to 4 weeks with an ankle injury. That necessitated the Saints to work out running backs Lamar Miller, Duke Johnson, Brian Hill, Ito Smith, and Rykel Armstead. The Raiders running back Peyton Barber, he is out a few weeks with a mild turf toe injury. Last night, Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson, he was diagnosed with a mallet finger. Essentially, it's a sprained joint in his finger that makes it difficult to flex the finger. Still just discussing whether they want to have surgery or not. But the x-rays on it showed that there was no fracture. Panthers running back Christian McCaffrey, he is doubtful this week. Falcons wide receivers Calvin Ridley and Russell Gage both out for the game in London. They did not travel with the team. Calvin Ridley out for a personal matter. Russell Gage has an ankle injury. Buccaneers tight end Rob Gronkowski, he is out once again this week with his fractured ribs. Titans wide receiver Julio Jones, he is also out once again. I believe he's dealing with an ankle injury. His partner, though, wide receiver A.J. Brown, he will play this week. Head coach Mike Vrabel announced. Great to get him back, especially in fantasy. I need you, A.J., especially against the Jags. 49ers rookie quarterback Trey Lance, he will get his first career start this weekend. Starting quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, he is out, and he probably will not have their top target or what everyone believes their top target. Tight end George Kittle, he is listed as doubtful right now. And finally, Washington football team running back Antonio Gibson, he is playing through a stress fracture in his shin currently. So we'll have to see and monitor how that plays out throughout the rest of the season. Patriots, they ruled out offensive linemen Shaq Mason and Trent Brown. That leaves center David Andrews as the only starter left on the offensive line. I already said about Isaiah Wynn and Michael Onwenu being out on the COVID list. And now Shaq Mason, Trent Brown, both out with injuries. David Andrews is going to have a lot of new faces around him. The Jets, they signed defensive end John Franklin Myers to a 4-year, $55 million extension, $30.2 million guaranteed. Massive payday for an underrated guy not many people know about, formerly cut by the Rams, and has made a name of himself with the New York Jets, has been very productive for them. Probably their best, one of their best, if not the best, pass rusher currently on the roster with Carl Lawson injured. The Cowboys, they released linebacker Jalen Smith. Shocking release in the middle of the week. He is still owed $7.2 million from the Cowboys, but the Packers, they signed him. He's going to make $770,000 from Green Bay on a 1-year deal. So in total, he's getting almost $8 million into between the two teams. The Patriots, they signed former Lions linebacker Jamie Collins. This is his third stint in New England. That came after the trade of Stefan Gilmore when they actually had cap space to sign Jamie Collins. The Saints, they signed kicker Cody Parkey. And the Washington football team with Logan Thomas on IR, they signed former Packers tight end Jace Sternberger to the 53-man roster. And finally, the Packers, they signed corner Rasul Douglas off of the Cardinals practice squad. So some depth there for Green Bay. All right, college pick standings here. Not My finest week, double-digit losses here. I gave away the lead to Chris, who is tied with me, but he did a great job. 19-8, best record last week. Mark right behind him, and then I 2 games back. So my lead is gone. It's tied now with Chris, and Mark right there, 1 game back. All right, games this week. We got a couple tonight. The Temple Owls headed to Cincinnati to face number 5 Cincinnati. Bearcats favored by 29. And I'm not sure if they cover or not. It's an AAC matchup. So it'll be tough. I don't think Temple's that good. So Cincinnati's definitely going to win. I just don't know about the 29. That's pretty big for a conference matchup. Over-under is 54 in this one. Let's hit the over button, and 7 p.m. ESPN. Also tonight, Stanford at number 22, Arizona State. The Sun Devils getting a 13-point favorite here. And yes, I am on the Cardinal. Stanford has made me a believer. Their 2 losses, one was to Kansas State, who has been pretty good this year, and the other 2 weeks ago against UCLA, who has looked pretty decent as well. I'm not sold on the Sun Devils. They're 4-1. I know. They just blew out UCLA last week. But I am sold on the fact that Tanner McKee, ever since he's came in at quarterback for the Cardinal, has been a revelation for the offense. He was the reason why, along with crappy refs, that they just upset number 3 Oregon last weekend. He is the reason why the offense has looked a lot better. And Nathaniel Pete running the ball, I think that's how you beat the Arizona State defense, by running the ball, just like BYU did to them when they played against them in Vegas. And Tyler Algier had a good game against them. So I think that's how you do it. Run Nathaniel Pete, Tanner McKee, use the play action. And let's get it done, Stanford. Let's get the win. Upset at Arizona State. Over-under is 52. I'm going under for that one. And Carlos Correa, double off of Craig Kimbrell. What a hit. And that is a 7-4 game in Houston right now over the White Sox. Love to see it right now. Houston Astros going to win the World Series. 10:30 p.m. ESPN. Tomorrow, Red River rivalry. Number 6, Oklahoma. 3-point favorites at number 21, Texas. Again, I'm lone wolfing. I'm going with the Longhorns, the dog in this one. It's in Austin. It's not like it's in Norman. It's in Austin, guys. And I'd have to check just to make sure. I don't believe this is usually it's not usually a neutral site game, but I'm just going to check to make sure. And it is a neutral site game. It's at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. So, that makes a little bit of a difference, but I still think that Texas has enough, and Kyle Tucker home runs. Let's go. Stroh's up 9-4, bottom 7, 2 outs. But I do think Texas has enough. Casey Thompson has been great. Bijan Robinson has been even greater. And that is how they're going to get it done. Bijan Robinson, 30 carries. Casey Thompson used the play action. I'm skeptical about the Texas defense because they gave up some points to TCU last week, but you're in the Big 12. You're going to give up points. I am not still sold on Oklahoma. That's why I picked against them when they were playing Kansas State last week, and they only beat Kansas State by 6. I'm saying this is their first real test at the Cotton Bowl. Texas wins the Red River rivalry. Over-under is 64. I'm going just under. We're going to get 63. So 12 p.m. ABC. Big Ten matchup, Maryland at number 7, Ohio State. The Buckeyes should roll in this one at the Horseshoe. Maryland coming off a tumultuous performance against Iowa at home last Friday night. And as much as I love Talia at the Shoe, I cannot do that, especially during a day game. Granted, Maryland did give Ohio State an issue at the Shoe in a day game a couple of years ago. But that was with Anthony McFarland, Steelers running back Anthony McFarland. He ran all over Ohio State that day. Maybe they can do that. I don't really know their running backs too well. I do know Talia is without Dante Demas for the rest of the season. So, yeah, it's going to be tough, and I don't think they're going to be able to do enough with Raheem Jarrett, and the like on offense. Over under massive 71 for this one. I'm going under. I don't think that Ohio State's going to just annihilate them like that. I do think Maryland's going to be able to get some, but not enough, and I don't think it's going to reach 71. 12 p.m. on Fox. Big noon kickoff. Number 11, Michigan State at Rutgers. Now it's in Jersey. That's probably why it's 5.5 versus East Lansing. But the Spartans are great. I have been astounded by the likes of Kenneth Walker and Peyton Thorne on offense. The Spartan defense has had a relatively good season as well. So I think Michigan State gets the win and they cover in Jersey this weekend. Over under is 51. We're going to go over. No, under. We're going to score in the 40s. 12 p.m. Big Ten Network. SEC ranked matchup. Number 13, Arkansas at number 17, Ole Miss. Rebels getting 5.5 here. Mark and I are on Ole Miss. Chris Lone Wolf and the Hogs after their shutout loss against Georgia last week. It's back-to-back road games versus ranked opponents. Now, Ole Miss isn't Georgia, especially on defense, but Matt Corral is Matt Corral. And while he didn't look that great against Alabama last weekend, I still think he is one of the front runners for the Heisman Trophy. Arkansas's defense, I don't think have the guys to cover the Ole Miss receivers, especially Dontario Drummond. And KJ Jefferson, while I did like him, it's time to play real teams. And I'm not so sure how healthy he is right now. So we'll see if the Ole Miss defense can get after him. I just think Ole Miss is going to make it a scoring game, and I'm not sure if Arkansas can keep up with Ole Miss in a shootout like that. Over under, as I said, a shootout 67, and let's go just under by one. I like Ole Miss 45-21. 12 p.m. ESPN. Vanderbilt at number 20, Florida. This one is going to get ugly real quick. Gators getting 39 here. I don't think they cover. They might, really. I mean, they actually might. But Florida's going to be pissed off. They lost in Lexington to Kentucky last weekend, and Vandy is catching them at that poor timing. So yeah, I think the Gators demolished Vanderbilt, and maybe they cover, maybe they don't. There's no way I'm touching that. But over under is 60. Maybe Florida can get it themselves. 12 p.m. SEC Network. Big 12 matchup, West Virginia at Baylor. The Bears getting 2.5 here. Chris is lone wolfing Baylor. And Mark is rolling with me on the Mountaineers. So I know it's at Baylor, but I think West Virginia, despite being 2-3, they played very well, especially on the road. We saw what they did at Oklahoma, losing by on a last-second field goal. They should have won that game realistically, but they didn't. So, what a snipe from Jose Altuve. That was quite the play from second shortstop, but second base, whatever he plays. I'm not a baseball guy. But anyways, yeah, Jared Daggy, Letty Brown, and the like. I think they have enough on offense to keep up with Baylor. And again, I don't know who Jerry Bohannon is at the quarterback position for the Bears. So they just beat Oklahoma State, but yeah, I know they lost to Oklahoma State. I don't remember. Yeah, I believe they lost to Oklahoma State. So, yeah, go Mountaineers. Over under is 44, and we're gonna go over. It's Big 12. They're scoring in the 50s, probably. I don't know. 12 p.m. FS1. I forgot to say this. That Baylor Oklahoma State game was one that we differed on. One of many we differed on last weekend. Iowa, Maryland on Friday night there. Chris lone wolfed Iowa. Michigan, Wisconsin. Chris again lone wolfed Michigan. Cincinnati, Notre Dame. Chris lone wolfed Cincinnati. Notre Dame losing that one. And I lone wolfed Kansas State in their loss to Oklahoma. Mark lone wolfed Kentucky, and rightly so, to beat Florida. Like I said, Chris lone wolfed Baylor against Oklahoma State, losing that one. And Mark lone wolfed UAB, losing to Liberty. Chris lone wolfed Auburn, beating LSU. And those were the ones that we differed on in terms of college last week. 12 p.m. FS1 here. Number 2, Georgia. Undefeated. 15.5-point favorites at number 18, Auburn. Now, Bo Nix came back with a vengeance last week, played very well against LSU. And this is the South Solstice rivalry. It is a dogfight, no pun intended, but Georgia's good. Georgia is good, and they're going to win. Sorry, Nate, our good friend Nate, but Penn State already beat you, and now Georgia's going to beat you. Go Dogs. Go damn Dogs. And over-under is 47. I like the under. 3:30 CBS. SEC on CBS. Boise State at number 10, BYU in Provo. Now, it's not a night game in Provo, so it's not as special, but it's still special. Boise State has not been the Boise State we're used to seeing with Hank Bachmeier at the controls here. And he lost a lot from last year. He does still have one of the best receivers in the country, Khalil Shakir, and the running backs are pretty solid as well. It's just the defense has not been there necessarily. And yeah, it's not the Boise State we were used to seeing. BYU is the BYU we're used to seeing right now. Granted, we don't know I don't know who's going to be the quarterback, whether Romney, Jaron Hall, or I'm blanking on the third string guy's name. But anyways, We all think the Cougars are going to get it done. They're a top 10 team for a reason. Their defense is stout. They have a running game with Tyler Algier and Gunnar the Romney to Romney connection, if it is Baylor at quarterback, is great. Great to see. Puka Nasua as well. I can keep going on. Isaac Rex and the like. Get it done. Go Cougs. Over under is 57. And yeah, let's go under BYU's defense. 330 ABC. Number 19, Wake Forest. Undefeated Demon Deacons heading to the Carrier Dome against Syracuse. Now, Syracuse has already beaten Liberty in the Dome. That was a Friday night game, though. This is a Saturday afternoon. We're all on the Demon Deacons. Think it'll be tight. They are in the Dome, but I'm hesitant. I think I'm not sure about the spread. I know Kelly in Vegas for for Barstool Sports. She likes Syracuse +6 or 6.5. So let's go with that. Let's go Syracuse covers, but Wake wins. Over under is pretty big, 59. Demon Deeks has shown they can score, but Syracuse defense is really good and different in the Dome. So let's go just under that, somewhere in the 53 area, I think. 330 ESPN2. Number 24, SMU, ranked for the first time this year at Navy. Mustangs getting 13.5. I think they'll cover that. Navy's not that great. The Stangs have Tanner Mordecai, the nation's leader in touchdown passes. So I think he'll get maybe 4 more here and keep rolling with the Stangs. And as the top competitor to Cincinnati in the American. Over-under is 56. We're rolling under. I'm not sure how much Navy can score. 330 CBS Sportsnet. Mid-Tennessee at Liberty. The Flames getting about 20 points here. And yeah, it's Mid-Tennessee. I know Liberty lost to Syracuse. That's their only loss, but I still believe in Malik Willis and the rest of Hugh Freeze's team. So let's roll. Flames get it done at home in Virginia. Not a problem against Mid-Tennessee. Over-under is 58, however. And I'm going to go just under 56. 330 ESPN 3. Ball State at Western Michigan. The Broncos 4-1 here, hosting the Cardinals. Western Michigan getting 11 here. They, along with Eastern Michigan, are the only 2 one-loss teams, I believe, in the MAC. So Ball State, while they did just beat Army, maybe they have a letdown this week at Western Michigan. I think the Broncos have enough to get it done, led by blanking. I don't know why I'm blanking on all these guys' names. I know them. It's just the fact of remembering like 100 and whatever, names of college players. It's very difficult. So yeah, Caleb Ellaby, the quarterback, really love him. Sky Moore, the wide receiver there, and Ladarius Jefferson, the running back. I think they can beat Drew Plitt at home and maybe not cover the 11. Ball State's pretty scrappy, so I think +11 for the Cardinals, but Western with the win. Over-under, again, is 58. We're going to go over. Shootout. 330 ESPN SDSU. The biggest game of the weekend, and it's not a night game. So stupid, but I'm happy it's not a night game. Number 4, Penn State at number 3, Iowa. Undefeated at top 5 Big Ten matchup. Top 4 Big Ten matchup. Ridiculous. The numbers coming into this one. Iowa 33.2 points per game on offense. Penn State 30. Defensively, Penn State's giving up 12. Iowa 11.6. Very close teams. Penn State a lot more yards, almost 100 more total yards. But they're also giving up 70 more yards than Iowa is. So it is going to be a very, very good game in Kinnick Stadium on tomorrow afternoon. But I am rolling with my team, my childhood team. The Penn State Nittany Lions will get it done. This is the year. I believe it's the year. Sean Clifford has looked so much better. The running game is a work in progress, but I don't think that's how they're going to win this one. Sean Clifford will have to throw the ball. That's what Iowa wants him to do. But I believe he can get it done. They have the receivers to get it done, and they have the defense to hold Spencer Petras and Tyler Goodson, who I think is a lesser offense, less explosive offense, regardless of what you saw in College Park at Maryland on Friday last week. I just think Penn State's the better team overall. And while Iowa's defense is very good, I think Penn State can score enough. The over-under is 41. I took the over, actually. I know a lot of teams, a lot of people betting the under in this one, but I'm telling you, it is going to be a 24-21 game. Field goal wins it for Penn State. They cover the spread because of the win, and it goes over 41, 24-21, 24-20, somewhere in that nature. Still gets you over 41. 4 p.m. on Fox. Oregon State at Washington State. Pac-12 matchup. I'm loving the Beavers right now. I mean, they are not your father's Beavers of Oregon State. This year is different. And really, when you look at it, I mean, why not Oregon State for the Pac-12? Why not? Especially when they, if they go and beat Oregon in the Civil War later on, they have to be the Pac-12, contenders. So tough game at Washington State, but I don't think Washington State's that great. They allowed Utah State to come back and beat them. So I think that's a win for the Beavers in this one. Over-under is 59. Let's go over. Oregon State can score. $4 p.m. Pac-12 Network. UTEP at Southern Miss. The Miners out to a 4-1 start to their season. And I have not seen much of Southern Miss so far this year. But I do like Gavin Hardison, quarterback there. And Jacob Cowing is a superstar for UTEP. Really love to see him. Frank Gore Jr. on the ground for the Hawks or the Eagles. But, I like the Miners in this one. Frank Gore Jr. not enough to swing me to a 1-4 Golden Eagles team. So, go Miners. 2-point favorites in this one. Surprising It's only 2, but it is at Southern Miss. So over-under is 45, relatively low. Let's go under. 7 p.m. ESPN 3. This is one of my favorite non-ranked games this weekend. 5-0 UTSA Roadrunners at the Western Kentucky 1-3 Hilltoppers. Toppers getting 3.5. And it should be very fun. This should be one of the most fun games. ESPN predictor has it at a 51.9% chance that Western Kentucky wins. But I mean, what's not to love in this game? I mean, Bailey Zappi is my favorite quarterback in all of college football. He's the most fun to watch. Just gunslinger, 16-2 touchdown interception ratio. He has 1,700 yards off of 133 completions so far this year in only 4 games. That's ridiculous. Averaging 4 touchdowns per game. Issue is Western Kentucky really doesn't have a defense. They've given up a lot of points so far, 35 per game to be exact. But I have to go with Bailey Zappi. I mean, it's hard not to. I almost went with him last week against Western Michigan or against Michigan State. They couldn't cover for me, unfortunately. But it's fine. We hopefully can get it done this week at home. You know, I still hold out hope for the Conference USA title for him this year. But if not, hopefully we can get into a bowl game and give him some national attention there. But UTSA in its own right is a stellar team. Frank Harrison, Sincere McCormick, Zaire Franklin as at the wide receiver position. I mean, they are built. And, y'all know Sincere McCormick is also one of my favorite players out there on the group of 5 level and overall. I mean, I love Sincere McCormick, but disappointed. This one doesn't have a network attached to it. So I have to find, some stream out there to watch it. But I'm rolling with the Hilltoppers, taking a shot on Bailey Zappi, and I'm okay though if UTSA wins and Sincere McCormick gets the W here. Over under 71. Ridiculous. It should be high scoring. Like I said, Western Kentucky doesn't really have a defense. So over 71, yeah. This one goes off at 7 p.m. Like I said, no network affiliation. Big 12, TCU at Texas Tech. The Horned Frogs getting 2 points here. And everyone is on TCU. I would caution Texas Tech. They just lose to West Virginia, but they were 4-0 before that. Thing I'm going with is that Max Duggan is experienced, and Zach Evans is one of the better running backs in the country. So they should lean on Evans, take the clock away. Don't give Texas Tech as many opportunities to score. And Horned Frogs, Gary Patterson, get it done. Over under is 61. I'm going just under. $7 p.m. ESPN. Sunbelt matchup. South Alabama 3-1 Jags at Texas State Bobcats. We're going with the Jaguars here. Jake Bentley, former South Carolina quarterback, and Utah quarterback as well, I should say. Coming off a 2-point loss to Louisiana last weekend, was very great game. They almost got the comeback, just couldn't get the 2-point conversion done at the end there. He's only scored 2 touchdowns throughout the year. That was their first game he threw 2. Hasn't scored a touchdown in the air since. Did score 1 rushing touchdown last weekend. But, Yeah, they haven't played too much competition, but I like him over Brady McBride, who has 3 interceptions, 7 touchdowns this year. And really, the biggest thing for me is Jake Bentley, but also Jalen Tolbert is a pretty good wide receiver for USA as well. Over under is 53. Let's go over. Maybe some high scoring. Brady McBride versus Jake Bentley. Throw the ball around. 7 p.m. ESPN Plus. Wyoming at Air Force. We are all on the Falcons of Air Force to beat the Wyoming Cowboys. And Zeke Daniels, I think, does it for me. I think that's the biggest thing. Also, Brad Roberts, I mean, he's a monster in the backfield for the triple options. Xavier Valade is very good running back for Wyoming, but I like the dual threats of Zeke Daniels and the spread triple option of Air Force. Over under is 47. Let's go under. 7 p.m. CBS Sportsnet. Number 9, Michigan at Nebraska. I was shocked to see the Wolverines only favored by 3. It is at Nebraska. I understand. But Nebraska has been Nebraska. Now, they have fought in a lot of the games, losing to Illinois, rolling over Fordham, rolling over Buffalo. They lost to Oklahoma by 7, Michigan State by 3, and then they annihilated Northwestern last week, 56-7. So I don't know what Nebraska is. Maybe they play this one tough. I just think Michigan is going to run over them. That's the key to Michigan this year is run the ball. You saw against Rutgers, they made it very difficult. When you stop the run of Michigan, Cade McNamara is not as experienced enough to beat you, I think, in this point in his career. So maybe that's how Nebraska runs it. Scott Frost gets a win over a top 10 opponent and maybe keeps his job. But I think the running game, Blake Corum, Hassan Haskins, and the like are too good. And they're going to bulldoze Nebraska. Over-under is 51. We're going to go under 49, even 7 touchdowns. 7:30 p.m. ABC. Number 14, Notre Dame at Virginia Tech. Oh, another night game in Blacksburg. And that's why Mark and I are on it. I don't actually know if that's why Mark's on the Hokies, but that's exactly why I'm on the Hokies. Notre Dame's been shaky. They're coming off their first loss at home against Cincinnati last weekend in a top 10 matchup. They're reeling right now. We don't know if Jack Cohn's going to play in this game or not. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. So, they have Tyler Buckner and Drew Pine. I believe Drew Pine would be the guy to go. I just think the Hokies in that environment in a night game is just going to be too much. Braxton Burmeister has shown me a lot that I wasn't sure he even had. And Trey Turner, the wide receiver, has also been pretty good for the Hokies as well. So we're rolling with VT in Blacksburg. Pick'em game. So that's just money line and over under 47. I think both defenses play very well. They keep it under. 7:30 ACC Network. SEC matchup, LSU at number 16 Kentucky. Now, does Kentucky have a letdown after their massive win over Florida last week? No, they do not, according to us. We are all on the Wildcats. LSU has been so-so this year. Max Johnson, I do like him, and I do like Kayshon Boutte. But the Wildcat defense is for real. And so is Chris Rodriguez at running back. Will Levis does just enough to get it done, and they play defense and run the ball. And that's how you can win a lot of times. So that's exactly what they're going to do here. Another night game, back-to-back weeks in in Lexington, and Wildcats get it done. Over under 51. Let's go under. Like I said, they're good at defense. 8 p.m. on CBS. CBS doubleheader this week. Number 1, Alabama. Or no, that one's 7:30 on SEC Network. This one is 8 p.m. on CBS. This is the CBS doubleheader. Number 1, Alabama at Texas A&M in College Station. Yeah, it's Bama, guys. No one is stopping them until they go to the SEC championship, and maybe not even then. So, and A&M, they're reeling right now. Zach Calzada is not the quarterback Jimbo wants him to be. Bama's going for its 10th straight win, or its 9th straight win over A&M. Isaiah Spiller is really what they have, along with Anaya Smith, but they're not going to have enough offense to get going against Bama, especially when Bama's defense is so good. So yeah, Bama rolls. They cover, really. 8 p.m. CBS. Over under is 51 as well, just like the Kentucky game. So let's bump it up, go over. New Mexico at number 25, San Diego State. We're on the Aztecs here. New Mexico has surprised, I think, this season so far. They beat Houston Baptist. They beat New Mexico State. Shut out by A&M. Barely lost to UTEP and then got blown out by Air Force. So maybe not that surprising, but for New Mexico to have 2 wins right now is pretty decent for their program. But they're coming up against a buzzsaw in San Diego State, who has had their own share of issues. They beat New Mexico State, rolled Arizona, beat Utah in triple overtime, which was a really good game. Then they rolled Towson. So hardest game they won against Utah. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be close. Will they cover? Possibly. Over under is 43. Let's go over. That's way too low for a college game. 9 p.m. FS1, especially the clip that San Diego State has been scoring, 37 points per game. Our last FBS matchup here, New Mexico State at Nevada. Wolfpack getting 29. It's actually moved way down, a point and a half down to 29. So maybe they cover, maybe they don't. I don't know. It is New Mexico State, though. They've gotten destroyed by New Mexico State's 18-point loss to San Diego State. They lost the New Mexico rivalry game by 9 points. They did beat South Carolina State, but just barely by 8 points. They lost by 20 to Hawaii, and then they lost by 6 to San Jose State last weekend. So Nevada's going to win. I just don't know by how much. And over-under is 63. So, what's New Mexico State scoring? They're scoring 21 points. Nevada's at 32. That gets you to 53. So maybe it could possibly happen. 10:30 CBS Sportsnet. FCS Game of the Week top 10 matchup in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. SIU at South Dakota State. Now, we already have said about South Dakota State that they do not have Mark Gronowski this season, but it doesn't matter. They have Pierre Strong. They have the Yankee brothers still. And the defense, very good for South Dakota State. So I love that it's at home. You know, SIU is a good team. Their defense is just as good as South Dakota State is. Nick Baker playing quarterback here. They also have a strong in the backfield, Justin Strong. And then, Landon Lenore at wide receiver. So it's going to be a close game. But I think the Jacks can get it done here, as we all think. All right, NFL pick standings. What a horrendous week for Mark and I. 7-7 for both of us. That allowed Chris to gain 3 games on us. Luckily, Mark was already, 5 games ahead of Chris. So I was only 1. But yeah, Chris got us last week. Marvelous 10-4 record. Mark and I had 7-7 each. Mark still has a 2-game lead over Chris, 4-game lead over myself. Chris got 2 on me. Games we differed on last weekend were the Cowboys-Panthers game. Chris lone wolf. These are all 3 of his lone wolves that he won. That's why that was the difference. He lone wolfed the Bears against the Lions, and he lone wolfed the Colts against the Dolphins. So those were the 3 games. This week's games, London. Gonna have to wake up so early for this game here. It's an 8:30 Central kickoff. So yeah, I don't know if I'm even ready for that on Sunday morning, but yeah, we are all on the New York Jets. Russell Gage, Calvin Ridley, both out for the Falcons. John Franklin Myers has some extra money in his pocket. He's motivated now to go and get the Falcons and make that money worth it for the Jets. So Zach Wilson coming off his first win as a quarterback in the NFL. Get it done, young man. You're against a pretty bad Falcons defense. I'm starting Corey Davis in fantasy. So, yes, get it done. Over-under is 45, and I think we're going to go over. Both score in the 20s. Maybe even a push. 9:30 and 9:30 a.m. NFL Network. 1:00 games. Eagles at the Panthers. We are all on Carolina in this one. Christian McCaffrey most likely not going to play. Jalen Hurts has actually played very well. Fantasy-wise, specifically, he's like the number 3 quarterback in fantasy right now, just off of his garbage time points and the amount of times he's had to throw the ball. But Carolina's too good. The defense is going to give Jalen some struggles. And I think Sam Darnold will bounce back with the offense. And Chuba Hubbard, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, please break out, Robbie. I severely need you to break out, dude. And they're gonna get it and cover. Over under is 45 here. Let's go over once again, I think. Broncos at the Steelers. This is a pick 'em. It has since moved to Denver -1. So Broncos favored in Pittsburgh. I think that is a shame or wrong, if that's a better word. I believe the Steelers defense is going to give Denver's offense fits just like the Ravens defense did last week. And with TJ Watt, yeah, I think that's going to be a really good shot, especially if Drew Lock is starting. We have to wait and see tomorrow or maybe even a game time decision on Teddy Bridgewater. But I think regardless, I think the Steelers get it done at home. And the Steelers don't go 1-4. That's not the Steelers way. Over-under is 40. Pretty low. Let's keep it under. Big game. 3-1 teams, Packers at the Bengals in Cincinnati. Packers getting 3 points. Yeah, we're all on Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is rolling right now. He's having fun, looking good. And his weapons, Aaron Jones and Devontae Adams, are having just as much fun. So, yeah, go Pack, go. Over under is 51, and we're going to go over. I think a lot of passing going on this one. Lions at the Vikings. The Vikes 10-point favorites. There's a lot of pretty big spreads this weekend in the NFL, but 10-point favorites for the Vikes. I don't think they're going to cover, but I do think they win at home at US Bank Stadium. Lions let me down last week. I couldn't pick them this week. Over under is 49. And we're going under. Dolphins at the Bucks, also a 10-point spread for Tampa Bay. Jacoby Brissett had struggles against the Indy defense last week. Couldn't get it going. Well, the Bucks defense is better than Indianapolis. And yeah, Shaq Barrett, JPP, they're going to have a field day, I believe, against the Dolphins offensive line. Jacoby Brissett's going to struggle once again. And yeah, Bucks defense is going to be good. And I don't know if they're going to be able to cover all the options for Tom Brady in the past game on offense as well. Over under 48. We're going under. Again, I don't think Dolphins are going to score enough. Saints at Washington football team, and Mark is the first one to step out of line. Mark is lone wolfing Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke against the New Orleans Saints and Jameis Winston. I think the Saints defense is the thing that gets it done. I think they're too good. And I think the Washington defense actually, because of their struggles against the pass, I think Jameis is going to have some fun. He should be able to throw the ball against the defense. And the Saints offensive line is good enough to hold up against the pass rush if he has to hold it a little bit longer. Over under 44. Let's go over. AFC South matchup, Titans at the Jags. Everyone is on the Titans. And I was hesitant. I thought about it. I thought about giving Trevor Lawrence his first win here. But then I thought about Derrick Henry. And I was like, no. Derrick Henry has killed the Jags many times throughout his career. And I always remember that Thursday night game, 99 yards to the house, broke about 10 tackles on the way. So, yeah, the Titans are going to get done behind Derrick Henry without Julio. Over-under is 49. I think it goes over, actually. Jags score some in garbage time. Patriots at the Texans. We already talked about Patriots are out 4 offensive linemen. Starters, 8.5-point favorites for New England. And I just think Mac Jones showed us something on Sunday night. He showed us he can be the gunslinger and the field general that they need. So whether they have a running game in this one or not, I don't know. It seemed to not matter against the Bucks, but you're going to have to get a running game at some point. Damian Harris, we'll have to see. I know he was banged up a little bit, but I think he's going to play. Brandon Bolden in the passing game, possibly even Ramondre Stevenson getting some carries coming off of injury as well. So we all think the Pats are going to get it done in Houston, and Davis Mills against the Patriots defense is a great matchup to start the Patriots defense in fantasy, which I am doing. Over-under is low, 40, and we're going to keep it under. Patriots defense, like I said. Bears in Vegas at the Raiders, Allegiant Stadium. I think the Raiders cover this spread. Justin Fields is going to struggle against the Raiders pass rush and Max Crosby. Darius Philon showed up against the Chargers. So if they can hold up in the secondary, which I know they had a bunch of injuries on Monday night, but I think they can get it done. The Raiders, the Bears defense has played pretty well also, but I think Derek Carr can get it done. He hasn't had a running game, and I don't think they will in this one either. He's going to have to throw the ball a lot, which is great for Hunter Renfrow in fantasy. Over-under is 44, and I'm going to go tick under 42. Another 3-1 matchup here. Browns at the Chargers in SoFi Stadium. And I know everyone loves the Chargers right now, but I am on the Cleveland Browns. Their defense has been outstanding this season, and I think they are going to be able to shut down Justin Herbert and the weapons that he has on offense. The offensive line, I don't think is that great for LA, and I think Myles Garrett, Sheldon Richardson, and Jadeveon Clowney are going to be able to get after Justin Herbert and get the win in this one. So, lone wolf in it here. Over-under is 47. Now, that being said, by the Browns defense, I don't think it gets to 47, so under. Chargers defense is pretty good as well. I will say that. NFC East matchup, Giants at the Cowboys. We are all on the star, 3 stars up there for Dallas. It's in Dallas, and I think that matters. This game will come a year exactly after Dak got injured and broke his ankle against the same opponent. So, Giants coming off their first win of the season. I think they'll be motivated to try to get their second one, but I don't think they will be able to. Daniel Jones will throw a pick to Trayvon Diggs, and he will break the Cowboys record for consecutive games to interception to get to 5 straight on the season. And yeah. Over-under is 52, and I think we're going to go over in this one. Now, just breaking news from Jeremy Fowler on ESPN. The Seahawks, they are bracing for Russell Wilson to miss at least a month, possibly even 6 to 8 weeks. He has a ruptured middle finger tendon, likely going to require surgery. So it is Geno Smith for the next 4 to 8 weeks in Seattle. NFC West matchup, Niners at the Cardinals. Cardinals, the only undefeated team left in football, and we say they are going to continue to be the last undefeated team and go to 5-0 at home against San Francisco. And that's why, because it's at home. I think that's the difference. The Arizona crowd and the Cardinals are the highest scoring team in football in my mind. I don't know if that's actually statistically true, but they are scoring 35 points per game right now, only giving up 21. So I think the Cardinals defense, Chandler Jones, Isaiah Simmons, and the rest of them on defense will get after Trey Lance in his first career start, and they will get the win to go to 5-0. Over under 49. That's a tough one. 35 points per game for the Cardinals. That gets you close. And 14 points from the Niners. So maybe even a push in this one. 35-14 could push it. Sunday Night Football, massive implications from this one. AFC Championship game rematch, the Bills at the Chiefs. And yes, I am lone wolfing the Buffalo Bills to go into Arrowhead on a Sunday night game and beat Patrick Mahomes, because the Bills have been outstanding, winning 3 straight games after their week 1 loss at home to the Steelers. They're scoring 33.5 points per game. Their defense giving up 11 points per game. Now, they're not going to give up only 11 points against the Chiefs. That's not going to happen. It's going to be a high-scoring affair in Kansas City. I think there's going to be a lot of offense, but I think Josh Allen outduels Patrick Mahomes. The Bills defense comes up with the stop that they need at the right time, and they get it done. They go to 4-1. They have a leg up, putting the Chiefs in the cellar of the AFC West at 2-3. And the Buffalo Bills are in contention for your number 1 seed. Chiefs 2.5-point favorites in this one. Over under is 57. We're going over. Like I said, shootout in Kansas City. All right, best bets of the week. I went 2-1 last week. Finally had a winning record for the first time in 3 weeks. So we're back to 6-9 overall. Still waiting on that 3-0 week right now, but last weekend we got close. I had Washington -1 at Atlanta. They got it done. Cleveland -2 at Minnesota. They got it done. And then we were praying for a Pittsburgh +6.5 to cover at the end of the game against Green Bay. They couldn't drive down the field and get it done. But we roll on. These ones are ones that I have confidence in this weekend. Lions, the least confident, but I'm rolling with Detroit +10 at Minnesota. I think that's too many, especially because we've seen that Jared Goff can do a lot in the passing game, and I think they might be able to keep it close in that one. -3 for the Panthers at Philadelphia, home against Philly. I think that's a good spread to cover there. And then we're going -5 for the Cardinals hosting the Niners. I like that space as well. Like I said, I think possibly a 35-14 score is sufficient in Trey Lance's first NFL start. Lock standings. So we all had the Bucks last week, and they beat the Patriots on Sunday Night Football. We are 1-0, 4-1 to start the season for the locks. We got to get some losses here for other people, so I myself can move up the board, But this week, Mark and I are together. We're on the Cowboys, hosting the Giants at home. I think Dak's going to be motivated. He's going to go out and win, beat that Giants defense along with Zeke and whatnot. Chris on the Patriots at Houston. Maybe a sneaky game, but I do agree. I think Mac Jones is going to get it done and beat the Texans there against Davis Mills. Dog standings, Mark finally lost, and he lost both. Both he and I were on the Lions +3 at Chicago. We thought they were going to win outright. They couldn't cover either. So we both went 0-2. I am now 2 games back, 6-4 here. Chris, though, he got his right, 2-0. He had the Colts +2 at the Dolphins. They won outright in Miami. So good job, Chris, getting both points last weekend. This week, we're going, Chris has the London game, his team, the New York Jets +2.5 at the Falcons in London. I am rolling with the Browns. They're my only dog pick, +2 at the Chargers. Really like that space there with the defense. Actually, they're not my only dog pick. Like I said, I had the Bills there as well. But and then Mark is rolling +2 with the Washington football team hosting the New Orleans Saints. Chris and I are on the Saints, so sorry, Mark. I hope you lose that one. And I do want to shout out to Mark just before we end the show here. Very sorry, Mark's dealing with the loss of his dog Blanca, or as I called her, Blankers. So we're thinking of the Warrens on the show here. Next week, On Football Friday, we will be recapping the Monday night matchup between the Colts and the Ravens in Baltimore, and the Thursday night matchup between the Bucs and the Eagles at the Link in Philly. Also recapping, there are a couple of NCAA games during the week there. We have a Tuesday game, App State at Louisiana. And then we have 2 Thursday night games, Navy at Memphis and Georgia Southern at South Alabama. So thank you all for watching. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcasts on Instagram and Twitter. FAApodcast.com is our website. Check out all of our previous shows there, as well as here on our YouTube page. And you can check us out on Facebook too, if that's your medium of social media. Also, don't forget to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, whichever you choose. Thank you all.